Hello and thank you for taking time to listen to what many people are struggling with and how we may have a solution for you that can make a big difference in yours and your family's life. The rising cost of living and inflation. A closer look at America's financial challenge. In recent years, Americans have increasingly felt the impact of rising prices and inflation across almost every facet of daily life. From housing and groceries to healthcare and transportation, the cost of living has become a pressing issue, raising concerns about financial security, income stability, and overall quality of life. Understanding the factors behind the cost of living and the role inflation plays can help people navigate these challenges and make informed financial choices. Understanding inflation and its impact. Inflation is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services rises over time, reducing purchasing power. In other words, when inflation is high, each dollar buys fewer goods and services, making everyday expenses more expensive. A modest level of inflation is typical in a healthy economy, as it often reflects rising demand and moderate wage growth. However, when inflation surges unexpectedly or remains high for prolonged periods, it can strain personal finances and destabilize economies. The primary driver of the recent inflation surge in the US has been a mix of factors, including global supply chain disruptions, labor shortages, and increased consumer demand following the COVID-19 pandemic. Government stimulus measures, intended to keep people afloat during economic downturns, contributed to higher spending, which further increased demand. The combination of these factors has led to significant price increases in essential goods and services, creating a noticeable strain on household budgets. Key areas affected by rising costs. 1. Housing. Housing costs are one of the biggest components of the cost of living, and they've seen some of the steepest increases in recent years. Both rent and home prices have surged, driven by limited housing supply and high demand. In many metropolitan areas, rents have grown by double-digit percentages year over year, making affordable housing increasingly difficult to find. 2. Groceries and food. Food prices have been affected by inflation, supply chain disruptions, and rising transportation costs. The cost of groceries has increased by around 6 to 8% on average over the past year, with basics like meat, dairy, and fresh produce seeing particularly sharp increases. Dining out has also become more expensive as restaurants face higher labor and ingredient costs. 3. Energy and transportation. The cost of gasoline and utility bills has risen sharply due to fluctuating oil prices, which affect not only the cost of transportation but also heating, cooling, and electricity. In 2022, gasoline prices hit record highs, and while they've fluctuated since, overall energy costs remain volatile, affecting both households and businesses. 4. Healthcare. Healthcare costs in the US are already some of the highest in the world, and inflation has only added to this burden. Rising costs for medical procedures, prescription drugs, and insurance premiums have left many families struggling to afford necessary care. The inflationary impact on healthcare is particularly concerning, as these expenses are often essential and non-negotiable. 5. Education. The cost of higher education has been steadily rising for decades, and inflation continues to add to this burden. Tuition, textbooks, and other education-related expenses now take up a larger portion of family incomes, especially for middle and lower-income households. The increase in education costs has also led to higher student debt levels, compounding financial stress. Who is most affected by rising costs? Low and middle-income households are particularly vulnerable to rising living costs, as a larger portion of their income goes toward necessities like housing, food, and energy. Unlike higher-income families, they may have fewer resources to absorb these rising expenses. As prices continue to increase, the gap between income and expenses grows, making it difficult for these households to save, invest, or achieve financial security. How can people cope with rising costs? Although inflation is largely beyond individual control, there are strategies that people can adopt to manage its effects. 1. Budgeting and financial planning. Keeping a close eye on monthly expenses, identifying discretionary spending, and setting a budget can help manage rising costs. By prioritizing essential expenses, households can better adapt to higher prices. 2. Seeking additional income streams. Many people are turning to side jobs or freelance work to increase their income. While not a long-term solution, these additional income streams can help offset higher living costs. 3. Smart shopping and substitution. Looking for deals, buying in bulk, and opting for store brand products instead of premium brands can help reduce grocery bills. Additionally, choosing substitutes for expensive items can alleviate some of the financial strain. 4. Energy efficiency. Reducing energy usage at home, such as turning off lights and using energy-efficient appliances, can help lower utility bills, especially during peak seasons when energy demand is high. 5. Building an emergency fund. While saving might be challenging in the face of rising costs, having an emergency fund can provide a financial cushion. Even small, regular contributions to an emergency fund can make a difference over time. The role of policymakers in addressing inflation. Policymakers, including the Federal Reserve, play a significant role in managing inflation. By adjusting interest rates and other economic levers, the Fed aims to keep inflation within a target range, typically around 2%. When inflation runs too high, the Fed may raise interest rates to reduce consumer and business spending, cooling down the economy and stabilizing prices. Fiscal policies, such as government spending adjustments, also impact inflation, influencing the overall economic environment. Looking ahead, will costs continue to rise? While inflation has shown signs of stabilizing, some price increases may be here to stay, especially for goods with limited supply or where demand remains high. Future inflation trends will depend on factors like global economic stability, continued supply chain improvements, and the response of policymakers to economic conditions. Long-term price stability is likely, but households should remain vigilant and prepared for potential fluctuations. Conclusion. The rising cost of living and inflation represent significant challenges for Americans, affecting nearly every aspect of daily life. While inflation can be a natural part of economic cycles, the current level of price increases has brought unique difficulties. By understanding inflation and taking proactive steps to manage costs, people can better navigate these changes, maintain financial stability, and plan for the future. Ultimately, balancing personal financial strategies with wise economic policies will be essential to creating a stable and affordable cost of living for all. That is a lot to take in, but there is a way to overcome these times that are very hard. Let me introduce to you an organization called Save and Earn, founded by Mike Trusty, who over the years has vetted many companies that would actually help people get ahead and have a plan for the future without the high cost. After all, that is the reason people are looking for help. Not a whole lot of time involved, maybe 2 to 3 hours a day on your schedule so you won't have to travel so much and be away from your family. And actually help people save and earn as the name states. If you would like to learn more, visit yousaveandearn.com. You will find 3 ways to help, 3 different ways to meet your criteria and personality. But most important, a way to contact the founder Mike Trusty, who will help you guide you in the right direction and make you feel comfortable you are in the right place with support, great communication, and be able to earn an extra income without leaving home, and not to mention you will save money in many other ways however you choose. We look forward to meeting you and get you on your way to saving, earning, and preparing for what might happen in the future.